What follows is not a recap of a boxing battle, ladies and gentlemen. It's a medical report with poor choices in leather gloves because on July 26th, Claressa Shields transformed Lani Daniels into a major crisis in front of 15,000 yelling fans and a pay-per-view audience who believed they were watching sports. We're talking about ringside terror, oxygen masks, and a fall so spectacular it resembled the last scene of a crime film on Netflix. The worst part is that it was all captured on camera and has since been released. Yes, exactly, one shot to the body. The ribs were cracked by one. Trainers froze as Lani Daniels' whole system said, "No, we're done here." The referee feigned not to notice. Claressa simply stood there grinning. Was the combat fair? Then, was Lani Daniels in that ring even supposed to be there? Or was she merely a body to prepare Claressa for her next victim? We have anonymous sources, leaked video, and a humiliating trail that ends in the locker room. You will never see Claressa the same way after we unravel this, so fasten your seatbelt. The drama, the lies, and the cover-ups are just beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, even though the gloves may have fallen off, because what was billed as a typical championship defense and another women's boxing night descended into a media catastrophe, a public emergency, and probably the end of Lani Daniels' career. In confidence, the woman entered the ring unbeaten, but she was left feeling humiliated and under oxygen. One punch is to blame for everything. Claressa Shields delivered a single blow that affected the entire sport, not just the body. However, before we analyze the turmoil, let's discuss the mayhem outside the ring first. Because only half the story was depicted by the camera later, the details of what actually happened were released. And trust me, nobody was curious about the winner when that video appeared online. They wanted to know how she survived. Let's turn this situation around now. Detroit, a community that adores Claressa Shields like a local superhero, hosted the battle at Little Caesars Arena. But this was no mere comeback to fame. This was something much more sinister. From the first bell, Claressa appeared different, predatory, uneasy, and lacking in confidence, as if she had something to prove. It wasn't merely disrespecting a belt. Rather, she was conveying a message. Regretfully, Lani Daniels received that message in the form of a left punch to the ribs, like a church gunshot. It reverberated around the arena. This is where it becomes unsettling. As early as round 3, Lani Daniels began to exhibit early symptoms of respiratory distress, according to an unnamed ringside medic who spoke to us off the record. Take a moment to process that. Back and forth between rounds, she wheezed. They sent her back out even though her corner supposedly knew she was having trouble breathing. Why? Because she pleaded for one more chance to demonstrate her ability to hang. That's the quotation. He pleaded. In the meantime, Claressa, cold and calculating, repeatedly targeted the same location, the middle. The judges didn't matter to her. She had no intention of gaining points. She was aiming for irreparable harm, and it was successful. The crowd had stopped cheering by the 5th round. They were inhaling sharply. It was physically visible to those in the front row as Lani's legs began to tire. She was breathing as if she were underwater, blinking strangely, and having her mouth wide. Then that happened in the 6th round. She fell. She dropped straight up, as if her body had shut off without any warning, or falling to her knees. Dead weight back there on the canvas initially, and the whole sport seemed to pause for a second. What didn't stop, though? Claressa. Because Claressa simply stood there while trainers yelled from both corners. The referee waved off the round and doctors hurried in. No expression, simply inhaling, observing, and waiting until she spoke. We obtained pictures of the leaked lip-reading video, which shows Claressa looking down at the medics and saying, "Told y'all she wasn't built for this." The punch that caused it didn't have the same impact as that one line. Social media went crazy. 2 groups of fans emerged. Team Lani Daniels is yelling attempted murder in gloves, while Team Claressa is claiming it's just boxing. This is when things turn dark. So let's talk about that video now. As soon as Lani Daniels fell, the official pay-per-view telecast ended. A highlight reel of past punches replaced the broadcast. Commentators fell silent. Trainers gathered. Someone in that venue continued to record even as the broadcast paused. 40 minutes later, a fan video appeared on Twitter revealing everything. Lani Daniels was lying still. A medic slapped her face in an attempt to wake her, and her coach whispered in panic, with her glove up like if she had just vanquished a demon. Claressa continued to pace in the neutral corner. In less than 12 hours, that video received over 18 million views. The public is now demanding answers. Why didn't the altercation end sooner? What caused Lani Daniels' corner to overlook her respiratory problems when she hit the floor? Why did the PPV broadcast cut the feed? Was this fight even legal? That is possibly the most widely shared question of all, because Lani Daniels reportedly raised respiratory problems during her weigh-in physical, according to anonymous insiders from the Boxing Commission. Again off the record. Let me state once more. They approved her despite the fact that she was apparently already corrupted. Why? Since ticket sales were so high because in her hometown, Claressa needed a name to beat. Since boxing is a commercial activity, and the product was Lani Daniels, product out, product in, this one too emerged on a stretcher. Shields was up by the time paramedics rolled her out of the arena's bag. On the truth, not just the ring, however, they were unprepared for the leak, because the events of that 6th round were not merely captured on tape. 3 perspectives were used to film it. Raw audio of Lani's corner argument with officials was posted to a burner Telegram account by a ringside camera technician Goen by the pseudonym Mike only moments before the battle recommenced, according to reports. One coach yelled, "They let her fight even though she is unable to stand up straight," and asks, "What the hell are we doing? This wasn't merely a technical knockout," and that's where the outcry erupted. This was a total systemic breakdown. It wasn't simply a beating for Lani. The sport that promised to protect her abandoned her, as did the officials and her team. Claressa, on the other hand, left with all the belts but no responsibility. You're completely mistaken, though, if you believe that this will end in the ring. This made the situation worse since backstage made it worse. The arena crew was already on high alert while the crowd was still stunned into stillness. Daniels. Lani had just been brought out of the ring without moving, her eyes hardly blinking, her glove still strapped on. That's never wrong, according to an ant report that was leaked and was making the rounds on Twitter from a friend of a friend page. By the time she was carried into the ambulance, her oxygen saturation had fallen to 76%. That's not tiredness. Let's be clear. A respiratory emergency is what that is. The worst part is about to come. Lani was seen faintly on the video that was leaked from the rear hallway. Someone, who was supposedly her assistant coach, muttered, "They'll kill the fight if she can't walk out." You heard that right. They were more concerned with appearances and oxygen as she struggled to rise, her arms trembling like they were made of gelatin. Let's take a moment to think. Lani Daniels simply suffered the greatest setback of her career. Her lungs are deteriorating. She hardly has a stable spine, and the exit strategy is being negotiated by her team out here, as if it were a red carpet event. And throughout it all, where were Claressa Shields? Oh, just in the winner's lounge, drinking from a personalized water bottle that read GW in glitter, while posing with belts in front of television crews, as if she hadn't simply moved someone's inside organs. However, the temperature drops. Let's assume he rhymes with fake fumes. A reporter from an underground sports blog, whose name we won't reveal, claimed to have heard Claressa say to her management, "She wasn't built like me. She was built like content." Repeat that, content, not competition. This brawl broke the internet, not only Lani's ribs. So let's speak about social media now. Within 9 minutes, #LanaCollips and #ClaressaCo became popular. However, the tone was unexpected. This didn't work. Why wasn't that fight broken up? This is mistreatment. Women's boxing cannot advance because of this. For ratings, you guys are killing each other. Some famous people even began to comment. Amanda Serrano used just 2 words to post a story: "Toss the towel." Even Halle Berry, who doesn't even tweet about it, said, "She's a warrior. But she shouldn't have been in there. Not like that. Not like that." "This fight was hard to watch," was the most outrageous remark of them. Boxing uploaded a single red siren emoji. "This isn't how we did it in my day. Power with purpose, not destruction for sport." Few captioned the black and white photo of Claressa. That was posted by Leela Ali. Yap, Leela Ali. If we've ever seen goat shade, that's it. However, a darker story began to emerge as the internet was dissolving. Not even the commentators could make light of it. As it happens, there were allegations that Lani Daniels was hurt and had to fight. 10 days prior to the fight, she had reportedly suffered a minor rib fracture during sparring, according to sources close to her camp. However, her team allegedly concealed the injury with padded tape underneath her equipment and last-minute pain injections. Yes, you read correctly. To counter Claressa Shields, they bandaged her ribs during fight week. According to one insider, she could hardly cough without flinching. But money talks. She grabbed the handbag. Take a moment to process that. She entered the ring with no intention of winning. She entered in order to make ends meet and get paid. What about the authorities who approved, the medical examiners and the sanctioning bodies? Everything is silent, nothing to say, no responsibility. Naturally, though, the internet intervened once more at that point. Yes, this is a true group text exchange between 2 employees of the State Athletic Commission. There are screenshots everywhere, showing that pressures from sponsors and ticket sales affected the fight's final approval. Translation: They were aware, and we haven't even discussed the video yet. The web had been hit by several views of Lani's collapse by the time day gave way tonight. Slow motion replays of her body folding, legs failing, limbs jerking, and the blood-drained expression on her face that said it all were all over TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and even Telegram. I'm not supposed to be here, however, it wasn't a fan who posted the most damning footage. It came from a worker at the arena. Lani was being carried along the rear corridor with her legs dragging behind her while someone, probably her agent, shouted into a phone in security camera footage that was purportedly hacked from a staff break room monitor. Don't allow the blogs to claim that this was due to dehydration. Dehydration. She appeared to have left stage left. Girl, still, Claressa showed no signs of regret, worry, or remorse, rather. She shared a picture of herself with her title belt on social media that evening, captioning it, "Keep doubting, I'll keep folding in." She grimaced. We don't know what is savage if that isn't it. However, the public is increasingly becoming more irate. Not necessarily at Claressa, but at all those who made the arrangement possible because, that's what it was, an arrangement. The fight was rigged in the circumstances, not in the score. A corporate machine that required one more high-profile bout before year-end incentives were paid out, a weaker fighter, and a concealed injury. Now, people desire justice. Hashtags are trending, tweets are going viral, and people are signing petitions to look into the Michigan Boxing Commission, reevaluate the sanctioning process, and even prohibit Lani's management from instructing ever again. Despite everything, Claressa Shields remains unaltered, unbeaten, and unconcerned. But you obviously haven't seen what spilled next if you believe she's getting away with it. Because someone captured Claressa on a hot mix saying something she might never forget following the paramedics, the Twitter fury, and the media frenzy. You won't view that knockout the same way after we tell you what she said, we promise. Let's now discuss the main cause of the internet's fire. Because someone dropped the nuclear clip just when folks believed it couldn't get any more ugly. Then a live collapse and oxygen leaks, the sexy microphone moment, a little unnoticed clip from a local Detroit TV feed shows Claressa still inside the arena, her mic pack still hot and her gloves partially off. She was unaware that cameras were recording. She was unaware that the audio was in real time, as well as her words. My hardest shot wasn't even that. All I wanted to know was how long she would endure before her loans were repaid. Go over it once more. Allow it to burn. The internet took off. Within 2 hours, that one sentence escalated. From a whisper to a full-fledged Category 5 cancellation attempt, she admitted it. That's predatory. That's not boxing. Boxing fans yell into their ring lights and TikTok stitches, Instagram videos, and Twitter threads. That's deliberate harm. With the hashtag been the GW8. Petitions flooded in with over 70,000 signatures calling for a change or demanding to suspend Claressa Shields' license pending investigation. Suddenly, the entire narrative changed. Instead of being the unbeaten hometown champion, Claressa became the face of unbridled brutality in women's boxing. And even mainstream outlets that don't often cover women's sports suddenly had headlines like Claressa Shields, champion or career ender. Meanwhile, Lani Daniels remained in the hospital and was unable to provide a complete statement. But her sister went live on Instagram and read Claressa for filth, calling her a predator in ponytails in a 12-minute viral video. The boxing world was in a complete meltdown, and the Michigan Boxing Commission, under tremendous pressure, held an emergency press conference. They said there was no evidence of medical misconduct at the time of clearance, but when pressed about the leaked footage showing Lani's legs dragging, they responded, "We are investigating the source of the leak, not the incident itself." She even pulled receipts and photos of Lani's bruised ribs from before the fight, time-stamped them, and DM'd them to promoters who allegedly ignored them. So, you're upset that the video was released. It's not like a woman passed out in front of 15,000 people. Nice priorities. However, the chaos didn't end there. Additional whistleblowers began. They hurried everything, all for the purse. According to a former nutritionist in Lani's camp who spoke out anonymously, saying that she shouldn't have been fighting and that she was still on muscle relaxants 48 hours prior to the weigh-in. A junior assistant at the event location said that staff members were told, "If Lani goes down, don't panic, the cameras will cut." One even revealed that EMTs were told to wait 30 seconds before entering the ring for broadcast. Timing, you can't make this up, except we did. Smirking face. Now, let's rewind to the fighter at the center of it all, Claressa Shields, the Quad. She finally responded, not through a press conference, not through her team, but through a cryptic tweet that simply said, "All bark. I provide the bite." Wolf face number 17 and 0 are smoking with no regret or apologies. In all honesty, The internet was undecided about whether to crown her or cancel her. Sports psychologists also voiced their opinions. Some fans retorted, when the goal stops being to win and starts being to hurt, it's no longer sport, it's bloodlust. Others stated, she's a savage, not a criminal, it's boxing. Things get more complicated when an expert told a morning show that Claressa's aggression isn't the problem, it's the system that keeps rewarding it. Because you know what happened after all the protests, the footage, the memes, and the outrage. The pay-per-view figures increased. The fight's replays went on to become the year's most-watched women's boxing video. A rematch was sought by fight fans. In the end, the world loves carnage, so they just act shocked. So, what will happen next? Will Lani ever fight again? Some say no, she's done that to her ribs, her lungs, and her spirit won't recover. Others think she's preparing a lawsuit against her trainers, the sanctioning body, and possibly even Claressa herself. Networks began negotiating a documentary deal under the working title The Collapse. Claressa vs. Lani. Claressa is already pointing the finger at her next opponent, who this time has a true chin. Yes, she did indeed tweet that she did. What comes next for them isn't the question, though. What this says about us is a true question. We listened, we saw her fall apart. We pressed the replay button. We distributed the leaked video, we transformed her suffering into happiness. Perhaps there are more items with blood on them besides the gloves. Perhaps the true battle is taking place off the ring. You can't avoid seeing the video now that it's leaked. Now, we want to hear from you, the people who watch Lani fall and Claressa stand there unflinching, the fans, the truth seekers, and the chaos lovers. Was this a setup? Or was it just boxing? Was Claressa overreacting? Or was Lani thrown to the wolves by her team in order to get a quick paycheck? Was she let down by the officials? Or has the sport simply devolved into this? Broken bodies, blood, and belts for show? Tell us in the comments section. Don't hold back either. We desire the unfiltered reactions, the passionate viewpoints, and the first-hand accounts. Please share any more leaked videos you may have seen from the training camp or locker room. Add us, we're observing. Additionally, don't forget to hit the bell icon, like, and subscribe, because there will be more leaked stories, awkward situations, and drama that could end your career soon.